The end of a project is a wonderful time, but before you start popping corks, there is one more important piece of work to be done: your project's post-mortem analysis. Similarly, the process of a retrospective itself is less important than simply developing a habit across the enterprise to look back, reflect, and make needed changes to work better together. Today we will tell you how to conduct post-mortem or retrospective. Before starting the video, please subscribe to the channel and click on the notification icon so you would get notified when we upload the next video. Number 15. Set the stage. Greet each attendant and be mindful about their reactions. Make everyone feel like they are being heard and their opinion matters, because it does. Establish the meeting structure. This can be the time to turn in some icebreakers, comments, or even jokes that can draw everybody's attention. Set the goals. What will be reviewed during the session, and what do you expect as an outcome of it? After everyone is synced in, you are good to go. Number 14. Meet within a few days of project completion. A post-mortem analysis is most effective when the experience of the project is still fresh in your team members' minds. An easy way to make sure that the post-mortem is done in a reasonable time period is to schedule the meeting when you begin the project. Building the post-mortem process into your workflow ensures that this step won't be forgotten. In general, the best time to schedule a post-mortem is a few days after the project's completion. This offers your team a little break after the project to reflect on their own time before diving into a team retrospective. Number 13. Send a pre-meeting questionnaire. During the gap between the end of the project and before the post-mortem meeting, it's helpful to send a questionnaire to your team to get some early takeaways on what your team thought about the project. If several team members mention the same issue, make sure that topic is a key point of discussion during your post-mortem meeting. Sample pre-meeting questions. What are 3 things that went well during this project? What are 3 things that did not go well during this project? Do you have any suggestions on how we can improve for the next project? After you identify these discussion points, the next step is to create your agenda and send it to the team before the meeting. Number 12. Draft the team. Identify the people who participated on the project or deliverable. Not every single person must attend, but ensure you have a representative selection of both skill set and hierarchy. We think it's best to keep these meetings to less than 10 people, so you might need to break the group up and conduct multiple retrospectives. Number 11. Assign a dedicated note-taker and moderator. Before a meeting starts, identify a note-taker and moderator. Ideally, this should be 2 different team members, as doing both at the same time can lead to lulls in the conversation. Often, the main project manager takes the role of the discussion moderator, while somebody else takes notes. If you're having this meeting virtually, it's a good idea to record the meeting so attendees can reflect back on it and you have a point of reference when you're reviewing your meeting notes. Number 10. Host the meeting. When you're actually holding the meeting, it's important to set some basic ground rules for how the meeting will proceed. The moderator usually guides the conversation by following the key points in the agenda. But what happens if the conversation goes stale? It's the moderator's job to continue the conversation and encourage more discussion regarding the project. Here are a few thoughtful questions that moderators can ask team members to prompt discussion. Did anybody on the team have any challenges meeting the timeline set by the project plan? If not, what would you say was blocking you? Do you think the team had enough resources to complete the project by the deadline we set out? If not, what other resources could we have provided to meet these deadlines? After having this experience under your belt, if you could redo this project, what would you do differently? Would you want to work on a project like this again? Why or why not? Would you consider this a successful project? Why or why not? Open-ended questions like these can help you identify aspects of your project process that you may not be privy to during the process. You can use these insights from your team to develop a better process for your next project. Number 9. Send a meeting recap to attendees. After the meeting is over, send a recap of the main takeaways to your team. Be sure to include any action items that you identified during the meeting and share initial thoughts on what your team can expect for the next project they work on. Number 8. Follow up on the meeting. Assign people to specific action points raised so individuals have a sense of ownership and direction. If you work in a larger organization, then make sure you have a process in place that allows you to easily share the results with everyone else. This could be a company-wide follow-up meeting, either in person or via video conferencing software. Or you could hold a meeting with all the other managers and let them relay the information back to their team. Number 7. Gather data. The team needs to understand its own vision about the last sprint. This can be done by asking each attendant the following questions. What went well? What did not go well? What could we improve? This information will then be used to understand the key obstacles and opportunities that should be addressed during the next sprint. Number 6. Identify what worked well. Have the team identify moments or actions in the process that worked particularly well to advance the project or the team itself. Give everyone 3 to 5 minutes to silently reflect before sharing. As each person shares, give everyone else the opportunity to ask probing questions, like, "What do you mean by?" But don't let it become a debate. Respect the point of view of the person sharing and move on. Record these moments above the project timeline with a smiley face. Examples: things move so much faster because we all wrote the project brief together in a single workshop. Or, final approvals were easy because we designated roles at the outset of the project. Number 5. Identify what didn't work. Have the team identify moments or actions in the process that slowed, obstructed, or harmed the project or the team. Give everyone 3 to 5 minutes to silently reflect before sharing. As each person shares, give everyone else the opportunity to ask probing questions, like, "What do you mean by?" But don't let it become a debate. Respect the point of view of the person sharing and move on. Record these moments and actions below the project timeline with a sad face. Examples: the project hit a roadblock when we realized we didn't have enough designers to do the work given our timeline. Or, we bit off way too many features and functions in this first release and were burned out before we were able to put something in front of our users. Number 4. Brainstorm ideas. After you have learned the ideas of everyone, there are several exercises that can help to unify and prioritize this information in order to further discuss them through brainstorming so you can effectively define follow-up actions and next steps. Now you're about halfway through the retrospective, and it's time to put the team's feedback into more actionable format for future projects or deliverables. Give everyone 5 minutes to silently generate suggestions for approaching the work differently. Specifically, ask the group to mold their suggestion into one of 2 formats: policies or projects. A policy is a rule that the team should follow for all future projects, like all briefs should be written by a cross-functional team. A project is an initiative or action someone on the team should complete, likely before the start of the next project. Like, source freelance design help in case our internal team can't get to the work quickly enough. Number 3. Share a post-mortem meeting agenda. Sharing an agenda before any meeting, not just post-mortem meetings, is a good practice. Updating the team ahead of time gives them a heads up about key topics so they can prepare some thoughts ahead of time. Sample agenda: Introduction, 2.5 minutes. Team shootouts, 5 minutes. What went well, 5 minutes. What could have gone better, 5 minutes. Suggestions for the next project, 5 minutes. Wrap up, 2.5 minutes. Number 2. Group and rank the suggested improvements. After the team has had a chance to reflect, then it's time to decide what policies and projects should be enacted moving forward. Start by asking the team to group and vote on the suggested policies and projects. You'll likely find overlap between suggestions, so help the group consolidate and simplify the policies and projects suggested. For the sake of time and impact, we suggest identifying the top 3 policies and 3 projects to focus on in the next step. Number 1. Learn from your past experiences. Project postmortem meetings are important because they can help project managers streamline processes for future projects. By taking time to reflect on what went well during a project, you can use that feedback to inform your plans for the next project. If something didn't go well during a project, you can use this opportunity to adapt your strategy. Applying your learnings from past projects can also help prevent mistakes and mitigate risk. If you are running similar projects regularly, you can create a template based on your past project processes. This way, your project team knows what action items and deliverables need to go in your project plan. Retrospectives and iteration are important pillars as it relates to the Agile project management methodology. Agile processes make iteration a priority. Without taking the time to reflect on things that went well or what didn't, you wouldn't be able to change your processes for the next sprint. Do let us know in the comments if you've ever conducted post-mortem meeting. Thanks for watching.